Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. You'll need to excuse a slightly different setup today. I went to sit in my normal chair and I'm recording at a slightly different time of day, and the sun is right on my chair, which is just over here. You can kind of see how it's quite bright and blown out just here. So I decided that I needed to just shuffle around a little bit so that I had a little bit of shade to be able to record in, so that I wasn't super bright and blown out. So clearly it's a beautiful sunny winter's day today. As I'm recording, it is Friday, the 17th of July. So it is the first day of the Bendigo Sheep Show. So perfect weather to start the sheep show off. It was really frosty for us here this morning in the Yarra Valley. So I'm assuming that Bendigo would also be super cold as well. I do have a little bit of FOMO about not going, only because my feed is completely covered in people preparing and already stories about people's hauls and what they're getting up to there with all of their friends. So I am enjoying that and missing out on that aspect of it, but I'm actually happy to not be traveling this weekend and to be able to spend the rest of the weekend at home knitting and just doing things here on the farm after quite a busy week of work. I was back at work this week and it was just the teaching and admin staff, and the students go back on Monday. So it was lots of planning and training sessions and compliance, all of that kind of stuff. So lots of sitting and listening to people talk and meetings rather than really getting any of the jobs done. So I did get a few things out of the way that I was hoping to get done, but I think not quite as much as I would have liked to. I think you always have expectations that you're going to get quite a lot of things done in your spare time, and there isn't really that much. One good thing that I enjoyed this week, and I'll talk about what I'm wearing shortly, is that every day I was able to wear a different woolen jumper, which was really nice change for me because as an admin staff, I normally have to wear a uniform. So to be able to show some personality and to show off my hand knits was really nice. Our dam is now extremely full. Adam has put a plastic cap over the runoff pipe. I don't know what you'd really call it. It's sort of like a level where if it gets to there, it's about to break the banks, so it can go through there instead. He's put a stopper on it, and it's almost up to that level, so that he can put, there's like a powder substance, it kind of turns to a gel in the water that you can put into dams, and it soaks through into the wall and hopefully seals up any leaks. So that's what we're in the process of doing now, with the hope that we will have a really nice strong bank for our dam moving forward. Then he'll take the screw off the pipe and everything should hold really well, and when we get more rain and it overflows, that'll all go down into our little creek as well. Last week we'd had some really crazy windy weather, and we'd had quite a few trees and branches come down in the paddocks. And over time there'd also been some other trees, wattle trees, that had fallen and it needed to be cleaned up as well. So last weekend we had a little bit of a working bee. We got busy with the chainsaws and fire piles and trailers and tractors, all the things were out, and we dragged a whole lot of stuff over to a couple of designated bonfire piles, and we burnt as much of that as we possibly could, and sort of went around the perimeter of the farm and collected things and made sure that the paddocks were reasonably clear, so that now we can let the grass grow and there won't be anything under the surface. But when we're going to get hay cut, it clears everything out so that it all grows better, and so that there's no obstacles for when we have the equipment come through to cut hay. I ended up with quite a few scratches on my arms, or I can't actually show you. Oh no, there's one there. Just from getting quite into it and lots of moving and dragging big bits of wood. It's been quite a while since I've gotten out and done that kind of farm stuff. I find that over summer I tend to do less of that because it's quite hot and I'm not really a heat person, so I'll sit inside in the air conditioning and avoid doing that kind of thing. But when it's like a nice crisp winter's day and it's quite cold, put on some tracksuit pants and a coat or a woolen jumper and get out there and do it. And it feels really nice and invigorating and really productive. Thank you to everyone who watched my video last week and then supported me by buying my one-off batch of yarn that I showed the dyeing process for last week. By the time I woke up on the Monday morning after the video went live on the Sunday, I'd sold out of that colorway. So thank you very much for your support. I will probably do a few more of those kinds of batches in the future. It was fun to record the process and to have these sort of different colorways that are not my normal aesthetic come out from that. So I stay tuned. I might be doing some more of those in the not too distant future. Nothing else really from a business point of view. As I said, I'm not vending at Bendigo, but I hope that everyone who has had a really great weekend. As this goes live, it will be the Sunday, so it'll be the third day of the event. So I'm hoping that you all did really well. First of what I'm wearing this week, this is the True Stripes from the 52 Weeks of Easy Knits book. It is knit in pieces, drop shoulder, and it was really easy to follow along in terms of getting the shaping and the sizing of the front and back the same and the sleeves, because you can literally just make sure you've got the same number of stripes, which makes it really easy to follow along. I have found that it does sag a little bit over the day. The neckband stretches out a little bit. So it might be worthwhile either unpicking the neckband and picking up a few less stitches, or maybe I can just put some elastic in it. Although I don't really mind so much is if it stretches out a little bit, it does go back once I stop wearing it. So I'm not as concerned that it's like a big gaping thing. So I do have a little bit of FOMO for not going to Bendigo, but also not. I hope that I'm able to get a really good weekend of knitting and relaxing in, because I'm really quite tired. So to be traveling this weekend would have been a bit too much, I think. I am really inspired by seeing what people are wearing there and what people are buying and choosing to sort of bookmark as projects that they might make. But I'm also very inspired by my current projects as well, which I think is what is fueling me to be quite happy to just be at home and to have that knitting time rather than to be exploring purchasing other things. Let's start with my socks. I thought that would have finished these, but I've been more interested in my other projects that I'll share with you next. So I'm very, very close, I think. So this is my first sock. This is Zilana Cozy in the Berry Bramble colorway, and I just do a toe-up sock with a fish lips kiss heel. This is my second one. Goodness, maybe I am literally at the bind off. Let's have a look. I don't count my rows. I literally just hold them up to next to each other until they're about the same size. These are going to be bed socks for myself, so I really don't care. So maybe you have like, let me see, 10 maybe rows left to go. So I probably should just get them off the needles and finish them. But I have been very distracted by my next two projects. So the first project that I have been very distracted by is my made up by myself Sophie Scarf. So I'm not using the Sophie Scarf or shawl pattern, but it is basically what it's going to look like. I'm using my own yarn. This is the Aura Brushed Merino 8 ply in the River colorway. I am using size 6.5 mil needle. So it's a nice, big, chunky needle. So this has been a good end of the day watching TV, not having to concentrate on anything at all, which is why the socks have probably been put aside, because this has sort of become that. And it's very potato chippy in that it is just garter stitch with some increases. I'm doing increases every 8 rows. So as you can see, it starts at the little point here with a I-cord edge, and you can see how the pooling is changing as I'm getting more stitches on the needle. I'm probably about, I think I was only about this, like, where was I? I was able to do this. So I was about here last week. So I've done all of this. Um, I should weigh it now and see where I'm up to. I'm not quite double in terms of what I was at last week, but it's starting to get reasonably wide around that neck part. So it's almost at a point where I think I wouldn't go much wider and just maybe knit straight for a little bit and then start my decreases. And my third and only other active whip at the moment is a new cast on, which I talked about last week. It is the Galan by Marie Amelie Designs. It is a top-down circular yoke with a lace pattern all the way around, and as you do your increases, the lace panels get further and further apart. I have done quite a lot, as you can see from this. This is the inside. So you knit it inside out because it's lace panels with reverse stockinette sections. So it's easier if you're knitting every round, and the instructions tell you to do that. It's a free pattern. I'm using this by Rainbow Yarns. It is just a silver grey, and I'm combining it with this silver that I got from a friend's D-stash, and I'm using one of my yarn spindles for this because this is on a cone, so it's really easy to put this on the table or next to me, and it pulls off nice and smoothly, and then I just have the ball sitting beside that, and that works really well. I'm just going to pop those up there. So it looks quite small, but I've got it very bunched up on the needles. I'm about to do, I think, the last set of yoke increases, and then I'll need to put it onto a much longer cable and try it on to see the sizing, because I have done some maths myself to figure out what size, because I wasn't quite getting gauge. But let me show you the stitch pattern. It's really, really pretty. It's quite open, but I think it'll kind of sit about like that. And it is a light jumper, and I think it'll be nice just with a plain t-shirt or tank top underneath as a bit more of a dressy jumper kind of option that you can wear inside when it's quite warm, but then also does keep a little bit of the weather off you when you go outside. So yeah, that sparkle, it just gives that a little more of a, I don't know, premium sort of look rather than just having the yarn by itself, and it's going to give it a little bit of structure. So I just need to, get it onto a long cable and try it on and see where it comes down to on me, and then work out if I need to do some additional increases or some additional straight rows just to get the length of the yoke down, and then I'll be able to also tell whether I think I'm going to continue this patterning all the way down the body and also on the sleeves as well. I love how a new project tends to get a lot of progress really early on when you start with not that many stitches, and the excitement is there for it. So this has really been what I've worked on quite a lot this past week, and really excited to see how it progresses from here. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.